Good morning, Kev. How are you? I should say, how are you, Mother?
That's all right, son. I'm all right. You behave yourself now. You're going to have to get used to the phrase ma'am. You have mom in America. You're in Wales.
Oh, sorry.
You've got Welsh connections. Ma'am, all right?
Right, well, we're Welsh, so this is perfect. I'm learning all about my history. This will be great. I really look forward to it.
And it must be exciting for you because you're going to have a great time in Panto, but you'll be very, very close to the Osmond roots.
Yes, a lot of our history comes from Merthyr Tydfil and the surrounding areas there, and already, I was never really into the genealogy thing until recently, and I think it's really cool to find out where you're from. If you don't know where you're from and your history and all the people have done, it's better, you can better understand yourself. And so I'm kind of excited to reconnect with all that history.
Well, what is the secret to the success of the Osmonds?
Our timing.
Yeah,
no, I'm teasing.
But no,
I don't know.
You've been at the top
truth
for a long
is,
time.
the older I get, the more I realize the success and all of the fun years, I had really nothing to do with it. I was born into it, and all of the things I used to think I was so cool about, the hit records or whatever, I realize now I really owe it to my brothers because they're the ones that, paved the way, that worked so hard. And I thought every kid did what I did. I started when I was 3, and the first show I ever did was with Frank Sinatra and his daughter Nancy at the International Hotel. And I haven't stopped since, but if it wasn't for my brothers, I never would have had these chances to do what I'm doing. And you tell people your stories about, the people that you worked with that were your mentors, and it just was the time, wasn't it? I mean, we had variety specials on the air at the time, and we were producing them, and we're in them, and we were on other people's shows, and so you got to know, some of these people that have now become these iconic celebrities, and to have been able to rub shoulders with them and glean some experience from them has just really been a blessing in our lives. And but I go back to my brothers. This tour coming up is a bit bittersweet for me because being the youngest, I hope I still have a lot I'd like to do, but they've been going for 53 some odd years, and it was really interesting. I talked to a guy the other day, and he said, "Jimmy, do you realize that your brothers are the longest running group in history, having never been disbanded? I mean, they're the original members, And I thought, that's pretty cool. So, anyway, it's a bit bittersweet, this tour, but we're looking forward to it.
And it is the final tour?
Yeah, as far as his lineup. I mean, Merrill, who was always the voice of the Osmonds, and, he's a real raspy, great voice, he wants to pursue some of his own individual career opportunities. I've been doing my own stuff for a while, and we all just kind of said, hey, let's do one more round. And rather than like last year or the year before when we did the arena tour, you really can't see people. You really can't connect. And the shows we're doing here in Vegas and other places in America right now are called Up Close and Personal, and we want it to be just that, where people could call out, whether you saw us in the old Walt Disney days or 70s or 80s, we could do, a song from those eras and be that spontaneous. And I think people are enjoying it, and we sure are.
You still are the youngest person ever to have a UK #1.
So they say. I never realized that. But Long Haired Lover from Liverpool was not the only song I ever had that was a hit, but that one really stuck, didn't it? I mean, whether you love it or hate it, it did make me the youngest #1 in history. And it's pretty cool.
I'm just looking at the tour itinerary. It's a little way off. It starts in March of next year. We'll tell you the Swansea date in a moment, and that will sell out fairly quickly. But I have to say, there's not much time off. You hit the road running, and it's almost every day right through until the end of the tour.
Yeah, but again, this is just the UK legs. But, we grew up, working in a different city every night. We're looking forward to it. But did you notice that I have my birthday off, which is April 16th? So we're going to have a bit of fun on that.
And my birthday is April 15th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you're my mum.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So you look after your mum on her birthday. Stay with us. We'll talk some more in a moment. With us on the show this morning, we've got the wonderful Jimmy Osmond. Jimmy Osmond with us on the Breakfast Show this morning. We're talking about the Osmonds tour coming to the Grand Theatre in Swansea. That's on the 13th of April next year. But of course, Jimmy will be very familiar with the Grand Theatre by then because, of course, he's the star of pantomime this year, which is Aladdin. This is not your first panto experience, Jimmy.
Well, I'm not the star. You are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just glad to be a part of along for the ride. Now, this is my third pantomime, and it's the first time I've ever been in Aladdin, but my friends at Kudos, they're the premier producers of pantomime, and they asked me to play up there at the Grand Theatre in Swansea, and I jumped at it because, not only are we from that part of the world, but the Grand Theatre has a great reputation, and it's beautiful. And my kids, I have a young family. I have 2 girls, 2 boys. They get involved. In the previous pantomimes, my little girl, 9 years old, she was a bunny rabbit that runs around. But you know better than anybody how much fun it can be for the holidays. So we really look at this as a great time. And
how does your family react to it? Because, of course, they're used to seeing Dad. You've kind of reinvented yourself in recent years and become, an established musical theatre performer. But panto is a little different to that. And, of course, I guess is a very much a British tradition. Does the family, do they get it?
They do. They love it. And what's funny is all my kids, they know every word of every pantomime. And, primarily an American looking at pantomime says, oh, well, it's for kids. But it really isn't. And what's so great is characters like you play in it. You've got the adult humor in there as well, and it's not offensive in any way, but yet it speaks to every age group, the way that Kudos produced these shows. And they're quite spectacular. And I've yet to see anybody, whether it's an older gentleman or a young little kid, walk out of a pantomime without a smile on their face.
How would it work to an American audience, do you think? You take one of those lovely theatres in somewhere like Branson, Missouri, which you're very familiar with. Would the Americans, they would enjoy it, wouldn't they? They enjoy good family entertainment?
Yeah, they totally would get it. Because, I grew up almost as a vaudevillian type performer, I worked with Milton Berle, and I worked with all those types of slapstick kind of... And if you ever watched, the Osmond Family shows or Donnie and Marie shows, we were always dressing up as a bear or a woman chef or, just to be funny, And that's what it is. It's not only contemporary music, because you let us sing, records that were popular for us, but it's also a storyline that they're familiar with. And, Americans would get it in a second. They just need to see it.
Would you spend another day in the jungle?
Never. Actually, the truth is, I'm a cartoonist, and I can keep myself, I'd be good in prison, because I can really keep myself entertained, I mean, I've had to, growing up on the road the way that I did. I never went to public school, or I never had that kind of, I wasn't raised like a normal child is raised, and so I ended up really having a good time in there. Now, I may sound weird, but I did.
And of course, you've spent a little bit of time this summer camping because you've been assistant scoutmaster for your youngsters.
Yeah, they didn't trust me to be the real scoutmaster, thank goodness. But there was a bear in our camp, no kidding, and it freaked me out. But anyway, it was fun, and it's great to see my kids go through a normal childhood, and it's like double duty for me because I didn't have, that normal upbringing, but now I'm experiencing it through them. My daughter went to her first prom, and she's 17 now, and she's driving, and I purchased all the weapons to protect her, but it still bugs me. But anyway, it's fun to see your kids grow and have a normal upbringing, because mine definitely wasn't normal.
Well, Jimmy, we thank you for all the joy that you've given and your family have given us over the years. The Osmonds tour will be at the Grand Theatre in Swansea on the 13th of April, but of course this December and January we'll spend some time together. We'll be dressing room neighbours for Aladdin at the Grand Theatre in Swansea. I am so excited and so looking forward to working with you as a professional, but having chatted to you today, on air and off air, I can't wait to meet you and work with you, and we wish you well and a safe journey over to...
Well, ditto. I look forward to learning from you. I know you're an icon in that part of the world especially, and so you have to kind of teach me the ropes, will you? But it's always fun, and every time you do a production, as you know better than anybody, you create an extended family, and I look forward to that, and I look forward to the beautiful countryside of Swansea.
Jimmy, I look forward to welcoming you into my family and becoming part of yours this Christmas. We wish you all the success that you deserve. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today, and all the very best to you and your family.